But that's how comedy works, right? Right now, some of these jokes might be bad, but we will work on these jokes, make it better. 2 years down the lane, we'll put it online. It will go viral. You guys will sit at home, you'll watch the video, you'll be like, oh my god. These jokes are still shitty. How is this guy even famous? That's how comedy in India works. But I recently realized that fame is very important because 2 months back, my ex-girlfriend messaged me after 2 years and she asked me, hey Naveen, so you do stand-up comedy now, right? And I was like, hey Lalita, don't you remember that you broke up with me after watching my show? And then she was like, hey, don't remind me. I was like, you don't remind me. And then she asked me, so Naveen, do you know Kenny Sebastian? I said, yes, I know Kenny Sebastian. And that is the point I realized that I don't look like a person who knows Kenny Sebastian. Because the next question she asked me was, so does Kenny Sebastian know you? I said, yes, he knows me. And then she asked me, so do you have Kenny Sebastian's phone number? I said, yes, I have his phone number. And then she asked me, so can you give me his phone number? This is the point I got carried away a little bit. So I told her, see, I don't think it will be appropriate for me to give you his phone number without his consent. But since this is our first conversation after a really long time, I don't want to say no to you. So I gave her the number. I told her, please don't tell him that I gave the number. And she became super excited. She was like, oh, thank you so much. You're the best guy ever. And then she blocked me. It's not the end of the story. 2 weeks later, I found out that she messaged Kenny saying, hey, Kenny, I'm a big fan of you, blah, blah, blah. Kenny was like, hey, nice talking to you. By the way, who gave you my phone number? And then she replied saying, I don't think it will be appropriate for me to tell you who gave me your phone number. But since this is our first conversation, I don't want to say no to you. Naveen from Bangalore is the guy who gave my phone number. And Kenny was cool. He was like, yeah, that's okay. He's a good friend of mine. But there is a small confusion here. This is not exactly Kenny Sebastian's phone number. And then she was like, then whose number is this? And then the number replied saying, I don't think it will be appropriate for me to tell you who I am. But since this is our first conversation, I don't want to say no to you. I am Naveen from Bangalore. That extra GeoSIM, guys, use it properly. That's all I'm saying. Well, that's the problem. I've been doing this for 4 years. Sometimes my friends ask me, Naveen, when are you going to get famous? And I always tell them, dude, just wait until you die. Death is the ultimate solution to all our expectations, man. Because honestly, I'm not an over-ambitious guy. My ambition in comedy is to become the 3rd best Tier 2 comedian in Indiranagar first block. Now, if that happens, I'm a happy man, Not just in comedy. I'm an average Indian guy who really loves his mediocrity in whatever I do. Even as a teenager, I used to love Harley Davidson. So like any Harley fan in India, I got a Royal Enfield. And then I used to feel cheap about myself only until I found a guy who was a big fan of Royal Enfield. So he got himself this bike called the Bajaj Avenger. This distant cousin of Royal Enfield. Have you ever seen such shit, And I don't think it's just me, right? Most of us are like me. We wait for the release of iPhone 7 just to get an iPhone 6s. It's like how we all had that one crush in college who you really liked but then never approached because you thought you were mediocre for them. What, you guys are all machos over? I know this happens. But the worst thing is 10 years later you see that photo on Facebook with their spouse and your immediate reaction is, this mediocrity is worse than my mediocrity. A part of you dies inside, right? I should have tried, And I don't think it's just as individuals. India as a country sends people to Olympics to get us silver and bronze. As a nation, we are like, hey, we don't need gold from you. We have dowry for that. That's how we operate. It's not even a joke. That's why Mary Kom wins a lot of gold. Because every time she walks into a ring, she doesn't see an opponent. She sees her in-laws and she goes, I need gold today. And then starts punching them crazily. Okay, I don't know why you guys clap for that, but I'll take it. No. To be honest, the only one non-mediocre thing I have done in my life is I scored an All India rank of 232 in IIT JEE. Oh yeah, right. Give it up for Narayana Coaching Institute, I guess. I don't know. My parents are super proud. They were like, Naveen, you are the best son now. And then I woke up from the dream. You guys really thought I'm an IIT or something? Don't I look happy for you guys? No, the worst thing is the dream was real. I had it in high school. I still remember the dream. And what annoys me till date is that even in the dream, I didn't expect to get an All India rank of 1, 2, 3, not even in the top 100. 232 was the magic number of my mediocrity. And the worst thing is you guys clap for that number also. The worst thing is like sometimes you are happy with your mediocrity, but the universe keeps reminding you of your avkar. I don't know about you guys, happens to me all the time. Like recently I wanted to get an iPhone, okay, and then I realized I don't have the budget for it. So my friend told me, dude, don't worry, get a OnePlus phone. No, that is the next best thing. That is the distant cousin of iPhone. And I was like, okay, cool, I got a OnePlus phone, I unboxed it, I switched it on, and the wallpaper said in block letters, never settle. I was like, too late for this advice, dude, I got it because I settled. What is this reverse marketing that you're trying to do here? Should I sell you right now? And firstly, never settle is such an anti-national tagline for a country like India. I'm like, if my parents find out that you are asking me not to settle, they will get me an iPhone. And a wife also probably. And then I will be called 1+1. That's what will happen, you know. Like mediocrity is the only reason why I always share my cabs. Because whenever I share my cabs, I'm happier. I look at the other person, I'll be like, this person got the car, this person got the driver, I just got a lift. And I can move on with my life. But whenever I take a cab for myself, I'll start having existential questions. My brain will start shitting on me. It will be like, hey Naveen, have you ever done anything worthy enough your whole life to possess an entire automobile and a human being for yourself for the next 1 hour? And then I have to change the drop location to my therapist. After the ride, the driver is like, sir, please give me 5-star ratings. I'm like, sir, you please give me some forgiveness. I don't deserve you at all. But another important reason why I always share my cabs is at least whenever I used to take Ola share, Ola used to send me a message that says, hey Naveen, say Ola at your co-passenger. Followed by the name of the co-passenger. Normally if it's a guy, I wouldn't care. Like even if it's a girl with normal names like Neha, Hema, Komalavalli. Don't laugh, man, that's a legit name. My sister has it. The problem is the last time I took Ola share, my co-passenger's name was Sureshna Ghosh. And honestly, guys have the superpower. Just by seeing the name of a girl, we can say whether she's easily identifiable over the internet or not. So when I saw Sureshna Ghosh's name, I did the manliest thing possible. I stalked her on Facebook. And the cab started, and the cab stopped at a place where she was supposed to get picked up, and I saw her approaching from the left. And I wanted to be a gentleman, so I moved from the left corner of the backseat to the right corner of the backseat. But that is when this driver turned back, gave me a sarcastic smile, and then he opened the front door. See, now I don't want to lose this game to a cab driver just because he earns more than me, right? So I immediately started a conversation with Sureshna Ghosh. I call her and say, hey Sureshna Ghosh, how are you? How are your parents in Kolkata? How is your work at Dell? How was your trip last week to Munnar? Things like that. And again, guys do a lot of stupid stuff, but sometimes it takes us less than a second to realize that we are being stupid and unreasonable. And that was my moment. I realized that I was being stupid and creepy. I was even ready to get a tight slap from Sureshna Ghosh. But that is when she did something worse. She spoke back. She was like, I'm good, Naveen. How are you? How are your parents in Chennai? Yeah, and by the way, do you have Kenny Sebastian's phone number? I know there was too much tension out there. You are like, oh, this is just a creepy guy.